Last year, we at Four Collectors hosted the first ever Vintage Trade Night in cooperation with the Strongsville Sports Collectors Convention, and it was a massive success. With the help of our generous sponsors, Collector Investor Auctions, and a few of my favorite things, we are doing it again. After the show on Saturday, April 11th, come to the Independence Holiday Inn for free admission, giveaways, door prizes, and free pizza. This year, it's going to be bigger and better, so be there.
Got this at Trade Night, at Vintage Trade Night.
Did you really? I didn't know that.
I've been looking for this all week.
Who'd you buy it off?
It's not downstairs, it was up here.
Wow.
This is the place to be.
It's the place to be.
Yay.
Good evening, sports cards fans. Welcome back to Four Collectors, the channel for collectors just like you and I. And I have a couple of special guests tonight. It's that time of year again. The Love of the Game Spring Auction has started. It's open. I'll obviously put a link to it down below, but you'll see quite a bit of material from this pretty amazing auction. I mean, I say that every time, but every time it is amazing. So I want to welcome Andrew and Al. How are you, sir?
Hey, how's it going, Dan? And hello, everybody.
Hey, Dan. How are you?
How are you, Andrew?
I'm exhausted. We've been working really hard, but I've also been traveling the last 2 weekends, so it's been
you guys you do the auction, and then you have to put everything in, and then the first night is crazy. But you're in the process of getting consignments for the next auction already, right?
Kinda, yeah. It's there is no downtime. Like, people sort of ask when is your slow time, and there is no slow time. It's just a crazy cycle that never ends, and it's great. I don't complain about it. I mean, I do, but it's beats digging ditches, right? So it's
yeah. So before we bring up the auction, tell me a little bit about some of the special things in the spring 2026 Love of the Game auctions. I'll start with you, Al, and then we'll talk to Andy about the cards, about the pictures.
Gotcha. So this is probably the deepest auction we've ever had in terms of variety of card types. I started counting card types, and I stopped at 270 different types, and I think that's great because there's a lot to see, and there's a ton of stuff that you just never see. So it's really in that respect, it's really exciting. There are a few one-of-a-kind items. There are a few unbelievably rare items, and then there's a couple of different card types where you've got, a nice selection of stuff so that you can kind of pick and choose and find one that you like and add it to your collection. So I think there's a little bit of something for everybody. Obviously, it's very heavily weighted toward pre-war. But that's kind of what we do, and so just by virtue of that, we wind up with a lot of unique items.
Well, I will confess that there are some sets in this particular auction that I've never heard of, and I'm admitting that I'm going to take a hit from my vintage friends for saying that, but there are, and we'll get to it.
There's rare stuff. I mean, it makes a lot of sense that there's, there's a couple of card types that I've never seen before that I have in this auction, stuff that I was aware of that I've never seen. And so it's really cool to have them.
So Andrew, again, with the photographs, amazing. I mean, there's stuff in here that's literally like once in a lifetime you're going to see. What do you want to tell us, overall, generally about this particular auction and the photographs?
Well, we're very excited about the photos in this auction because we received a collection of Negro Leagues related photos, and I wouldn't say that these are necessarily fresh to the hobby, but I'm sure that most collectors have never even seen these images, let alone type 1 photos featuring those images. And in particular, we have 3 photos on the higher end that are just out of this world. and I'm just looking at them now on our site. The 1946 Jackie Robinson photo, the 41 Satchel Paige, and the cool Papa Bell photos from 1943. Those three are going to get, and they're getting a lot of interest, but that's just going to continue as we move towards the end of this auction.
Well, you put Satch on the cover of the catalog that I got. Now I know that there are two different catalogs. You split it up.
We did alternate covers because we couldn't decide which one. So we made two. It's the same catalog inside, but then we randomized them, and so if you get our catalog, you got one of the two of these, and that's a pretty cool thing that we do once in a while.
Yeah, it's I mean, I love the digital catalog because I'm in love with that noise when you flip the
Everybody loves that.
Yeah.
Everybody tells me that.
But this catalog, I mean, it's like, I go through this and feel jealous.
Yeah. Pretty
FOMO.
thick. It's a big one. It's not the biggest one we've ever done, but we try and go easy on the page count, and this one is 234, I think.
Yeah.
So, and we use like a heavy matte paper, so it's called a silk paper that we use, and so it makes it even more substantive. So
it's
proud of it.
It's one of my great mail days. So thank you. So all right, let's take a look here. What we got? I wanted to talk about number one here. Talk about 1, 2, and 3, but number one in particular is the Boston Store Babe Ruth. So we'll see more Boston Store in here, but tell us basically what we're looking at.
Okay.
Look at this Ruth.
So there are a number of different issues that look just like that came out in 1917. There's Collins McCarthy, there's Boston Store, there's actually a couple of others, but the Boston Store is particularly rare, and up until just a couple of weeks ago, nobody knew really anything about how they were distributed or really even any concrete idea of where. I mean, we knew that there was a Boston Store in Chicago, the address is on the back of the card, but there was also a chain of Boston stores in Wisconsin. There was also one, I believe, in I want to say California. So what we were able to learn with these is that the Boston Store cards were issued out of one location in Chicago, and you could buy. They were issued in series, so it was a 200 card set. They were issued in 8 series of 25 cards apiece, and it was a loss leader. You could buy the 25 card series for 2 cents, but you had to go into the store, right? So the first 25 cards came out the week of April 13th, 1917, and then each week after that until June 1st, they came out with another series, right? And then on June 1st, that's it. The promotion was over. Now, when we look at the advertising that we found, this did not seem like it was a very successful promotion for them. They said at the outset that they made only 5,000 sets, which is a really small number. And then they each week came out with 25. And then at the end of the thing, they, each week they kind of said, okay, well, you can still get the last series. If you come in, it's week 3, you can also get week 2 and week 1. So what that tells me is that they didn't sell out of anything, right? So they were scarce enough, but then because the promotion ended at the end of week 8, right? And they didn't advertise them after that. That means that the cards in week 8 were only available for sale for 1 week, right? So you could get card number 1 in the set throughout the entire 8-week promotion, but you could only get the last 25 cards in that last week. And so the later series cards seem to be more rare than the earlier ones, and now we know why. So Hannes Wagner is in the 8th series, And so that is a really, really tough card. Babe Ruth is in the 6th series, and so it was only available for 3 weeks. And that card on the pop reports, there's only 11 of them. And this one that we're looking at right now is actually on the pop reports twice, because it's been graded by both SGC and PSA and was never removed from the SGC pop reports. So that means that there's only 10 graded examples out there. And that is the same rarity as the Baltimore News Ruth that sells for millions of dollars. So there. This is one of the most rare Babe Ruth cards you can get.
Right. And this is 1917. As you can see, it says Boston American. So he's still on Boston, obviously. He's
a pitcher. I guess he would,
second-year card, right? I mean, essentially. Right?
Yeah, he's listed as a pitcher, which is pretty cool.
And so it's a 9-digit serial number on the flip there. So it's been graded recently.
Mm-hmm.
It was graded by you.
Yeah, we submitted it.
Yeah, and they were a little tough on you, is my opinion.
I think so. The card was in its earlier life in a higher grade holder, and we'll leave it at that. It's got some flaws. It's got some condition issues, but the eye appeal is pretty tremendous. And it's certainly, I wouldn't kick it out of my collection.
I don't think anybody would.
Yeah.
So it's, like you said in the description, it's got a little bit of toning, but, Babe himself is untouched. So really, really awesome particular item. But this one I'm a little bit curious about. This is number 2. We're not going to go through 1,000 of these, but this is, you write impossibly rare old Judge, and I know your old Judge because there's always like tons of them in every one of these auctions. So what's the story behind this one?
Okay, so this is a California League old Judge. Okay, so in 1889. Okay, it says 1887, but all PSA calls all of the old Judges 1887. Old Judges actually were issued in 1886 and 87, 1887, 1888, 1889, and 1890, and really they're all different sets. Okay, so in 1889 they issued cards of players in the California League, and those are unbelievably rare. There are only 1 or 2 known examples of the cards that have been discovered, and essentially there's 18 of them. There's 19 California League players, but there's 18 cards. If you look through the old Judge book, there's a page that shows the rarities of what are the most rare old Judges, what are the most rare individual players. The first 18 of them are California League old Judges, more rare than anything. It's so when you talk about Ed Delahanty or Amos Russi or any of the more rare Hall of Famers, really there are no rare Hall of Famers in the old Judge set. There are about 3 cards that would make the top 100 most rare old Judges. These California League, they're all at the top. So I believe that there are 2 known examples of this card. And usually when these sell in the past, they've sold for $100,000. They're really, really valuable cards. And I've never seen one in person, much less held one, and most collectors never will. They're that kind of rarity, and so it's a huge privilege to have a card like this. Now I don't know if it's going to sell for $100,000. The hobby and what it appreciates has really changed since the last time one of these have sold. They never sell. Yeah. There's no real comps, because you look at when was the most recent one of these sold, and it was 8 or 9 years ago or something like that, and so then it was $100,000. Does that mean it's $200,000 now, or does it mean it's $50,000 now? I don't have
hard to say. Yeah, well, I mean that's the thing about these auctions. It's like this is the market is going to tell you.
Yep. But what a great card. Just ridiculously rare.
And then number 3, which is the only known Pete Hill autograph. So let's talk a little bit about Pete Hill. He was he was like Rube Foster's favorite player.
Mhm.
He played around in a bunch of different teams. He was perhaps one of the greatest outfielders in Negro League history. And he was elected to the Hall of Fame in like the 70s or something, I think.
I don't remember when he went in, but
yeah.
go on.
Yeah,
He's one of those. He's one of those sort of early Negro League players from like the 20s, 10s, and 20s, who was a lot more famous in terms of the hobby in the 70s and 80s than he would be now.
Yeah,
and so he's like Foster, Foster's main guy, and I guess he passed away. Stayed in. He didn't pass away that young, but he had an unmarked grave.
Yeah.
And one of the great things about what Saber does, Saber went out and found his grave, and gave him a proper memorial. So, I think we talked about this once before, maybe a couple of auctions ago. But when I saw that, I was like, oh, okay, great on them. That's what they do. I mean, they do stuff like that. So,
great organization.
Anyway, tell us about what we're looking at here.
So this is crazy. It's insane that this even exists. There has been the prevailing wisdom for years and years and years has been that if you are a collector of Hall of Fame autographs, you have to just forget about Pete Hill. There is no known signature. The only Pete Hill signatures are his draft card and his draft registration, which are both in public documents. So they'll never be owned by a human, but by a private collector. And those are the only known signatures of Pete Hill. So, if you read Kevin Keating's book on Negro League autographs, there's a section of players that just don't exist, and Pete Hill is one of them. And the book was written before he was in the Hall of Fame, which is why I'm not sure that he was elected in the 70s. But the book, what's amazing to me is that Kevin Keating is the lead authenticator at PSA, so he's the guy who authenticated this thing probably. So the contract actually is the contract of a player named Percy Wilson. Now Pete Hill was the manager of the team in Milwaukee, and he got some bad press. The team was not very good. He got some bad press, and he kind of got run out of town he was like a player manager, and the prevailing wisdom was that he was sort of over the hill, and he shouldn't be managing anymore. So he went and became the manager of the Baltimore Black Sox, and he took players from the Negro National League with him. Okay, and this was all written about in the paper, and there's some articles that if you look at the lot listing, you'll see we actually posted some of the articles there to the lot listing.
Right.
One of the players that he took with him was a first baseman named Percy Wilson, and this contract, excuse me, is Percy Wilson's contract. Now, it's from 1924, and as the manager of the team, Pete Hill signed the contract. He also signed, if you look, there's some handwriting up at the top. He left a note for somebody within the organization and said, make a copy of this or keep this copy or whatever. And then he signed it up there too, Pete. So we went from having no Pete Hill autographs to having two, and it's what's cool about this. It's interesting because Percy Wilson didn't really play. He was like a bench guy, and so when his contract became available, it was part of a group of Percy Wilson's things, and our consignor was just astute and recognized Pete Hill's signature on there, and
right.
It completely blew my mind that to have this thing in my hand. It's historically significant anyway because it's a Baltimore Black Sox contract. So it's got that, sort of a, for Negro League collectors, just the contract alone is cool. But now you've got, the team president, you've got Percy Wilson, and you've got Pete Hill right there. And the provenance is as solid as it gets. And so
did this come to you with the PSA DNA?
No.
Okay.
Yeah, we submitted it. It was pretty amazing to get the all good from PSA. I mean, we knew it was good when we sent it in, but you know, it was pretty cool to get it back and you know, get that LOA. You know, which is a very understated LOA. I kind of expected something from PSA along the lines of "Holy cow, you've got a Pete Hill," you know, but there was nothing like that. I was like that, you know. So,
well, you know, hopefully they put their number one person on it and got it done quickly. But yeah, I mean, it's one of those things. I mean, the provenance is pretty clear, you know, unless you know Pete Hill has a secretary or something, but it seems unlikely.
Right. And there's a couple of other Percy Wilson items in this auction as well that all kind of came bundled together. So you can get some other Percy Wilson stuff to add to the provenance of the Pete Hill autograph.
Al, I was going to add that
there are other Boston stores in this. I'm sorry, Andy, go ahead.
While Al was talking, I looked it up, and Pete Hill was inducted in 2006.
So he was part of that. He was part of that big group of players that were all inducted at the same time. What were there, 17 or 13 or something like that went in, all deservedly. But you know, he's relatively new name among collectors. I know he died in 1951, right? So he's been gone. He's been gone for a while.
All right, so I was off by only about 40 years.
When you get this old, Dan, 40 years is like goes by like that, right?
That was yesterday.
Yeah.
So, all right, what I was going to say was there's a whole bunch of Boston store cards in this.
Mm-hmm.
So you've got Jackson at 8. You can see him there on the right side of the screen.
Yep.
Wagner at 22. Cobb at 46. Hornsby at 47. And then you got a whole bunch of them in the 700s we'll get to later on. Grover Cleveland Alexander at 785, Eddie Collins at 797, and Walter Johnson at 829. So you've got like the major guys up front, but then even some major guys later on. So that's pretty good.
Stacked. Yeah.
So let's see. I wanted to talk about 14. Oh yeah, the Zeenut Jim Thorpe.
You're missing one that I have to make you scroll back before you do Jim Thorpe.
Okay.
I have to make you scroll back because there's another one of a kind that you know, you scroll right through it because it's really ugly. But the Just So Tobacco Buck Ewing is a one of a kind card. It's like lot number 4 or 5 or something like that. Scroll up a little bit. There it is, right there on the left. So the story behind this set, this is insane. These cards are super, super rare. They're Just So Tobacco is among the most rare 19th century card sets. All of the members, all of the subjects in that set are members of the Cleveland Spiders. And so we know that not all of the cards have likely been discovered. And so the presence of a Buck Ewing was always just theorized. Nobody had ever seen one before. And in about 10 years ago, this one surfaces. And the story was that there was a guy in Pennsylvania who was renovating an old house. And this card was nailed to a beam in behind a wall. And when the guy pulled down the wall, this card was just nailed to the beam. And so you can see in the center of the card where that old school like square nail from the 19th, you know, those old antique nails, you could see where that was. There's hammer marks on this card. It's all dirty from soot, but it's Buck Ewing and it's the only one. And so when it sold in 2009, it sold for $17,000. So, you know, this card is an unbelievable card. It's one of those cards that people thought there must be one, but it never materialized. And now here it is. You know, this is only the second time it's ever been sold, and you know, it's such a hobby legend that, you know, and it sold so long ago that a lot of people don't even know that the card even is a thing. So, and Just So Tobacco cards sell so infrequently that a lot of people have never even heard of them. But they're among the most rare.
I'll show you my notes. Just
You
so
got one?
tobacco.
There you go. See,
I was going to ask about them.
they are fantastic. I'm sorry I cut you off, but if I don't have an opportunity to talk about this card, I lose my mind because it's such a great one.
Al,
Oh, that's okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna. There's another Just So Tobacco here. It's Virtue.
Yeah,
JM Virtue.
And now you can kind of see what they looked like. They're beautiful. You know, they're beautiful, beautiful cards. And that's a gorgeous 2.5. But they're really special.
And I think you're gonna easily break 17,000 on this one. It's already at 14.5 a couple of days in.
Like 2 weeks ago or whatever.
You know, I will scroll. Feel free to stop me while I'm scrolling. You know, we have a Jackie Robinson Montreal Royals pre-rookie original Type 1 photo that I scrolled by.
There's so much. Dan, there's so much great stuff in this auction. Just like as you're scrolling, I want to talk about everything. Like especially the autograph book.
The autograph book is nuts.
Unbelievable.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, but the Jackie photo, you just don't see images of Jackie fielding in a Montreal Royals uniform. There are a few images out there of him, you know, holding a bat or, you know, from opening day, but in a fielding pose, that's something really special. And this photo, it's slightly oversized, but it still fits in the holder, which I think is important. And it's just a fantastic photo, and I'm very excited that it's in this auction.
Do you know where it's taken?
No, I was going to bring that up actually.
Usually Andrew's usually really good at this.
Yeah, I mean, it can probably be figured out, but given that it's a minor league ballpark, it might be difficult. It would take some digging, but it can probably be done. I think there's enough information in the background with the like what's around the dugout. But but right now, no, we don't know.
Yeah, I was thinking if it was Roosevelt Stadium, you could trace it to the beginning, you know, but that's hard to know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because you would need shots of the dugout. So I don't know if those are out there, but
that looks like a foul pole with the dugout all the way in the back. That would help. Yeah, that would help. Interesting.
Could be.
Anyway, yep. Somebody's going to own that.
Yeah. Autograph book is the next lot number 10, which is another really cool story with pretty impeccable provenance. This autograph book was what is his name? John White, or was it I think it was John White. Andrew was the person's name who put this book together. Who used to hang around League Park, Cleveland, and obtain signatures from the players as they were going in and out of the park. This has 243 signatures in it, including you see that Tyrus R. Cobb, there's Walter Johnson, there's Babe Ruth in there. It's just an unbelievable assortment of 1920s. It was in 1922-23 that he did this, and you know, so there's just great signatures, and they're all beautiful. And this book has remained in his family. In 1977, he actually wrote an article in, what was it, Grain Producers News or something. It was like a trade magazine in the farming industry that he worked in. And he wrote an article about how he collected these autographs when he was younger. And he actually shows pictures of these pages in this 1977 article. And the winning bidder, whoever gets this, will also get that article. But it's
nice.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing. And I'm sort of like desperately hoping that the person who wins this has a deep appreciation for the historical importance of a book like this, and doesn't hack it up and send the individual pages in for I mean, that happens so often, and this book
that
is
would be
completely it's completely intact. All of the signatures are still there. They're beautiful fountain pen signatures, and there's such a great assortment of different players in there. 243. And it's not just players. There was one of them was a groundskeeper, right, Andrew? If I remember, there was
also, I believe the guy's name is Marshall White.
Okay,
and I think his name is in the book too.
Yeah, it also comes up. John White typed up a list of all of the signatures in the book, so that comes with the book too. And right. You know. Obviously, it's been authenticated by PSA DNA, but we're really, really hoping that the winner understands the historical importance of keeping a book like this together. And that's a whole debate, I guess. But, you know, we were proud to offer it all together as one book like this.
Yeah, it's already doubled the starting bid, plus a little. And there's some names in here. Chris Speaker, Joe Wood, Hack Wilson. I mean, there's Al Simmons, Joe Sewell, Ray Schalk. I mean, there's some real good ones in here.
There's also a lot of really obscure ones. There's a lot of names that are of players that you just never see, and you know, they're not Hall of Famers, but you know, it's pretty great.
Yeah, that's
Roger Peckinpah's in there and Ken Williams.
It's great stuff.
So, that's Jackie. Let me go back to. So I was scrolling down to this one.
Stop!
I just scroll like crazy. I didn't even know there was a Jim Thorpe Zeenut card.
Isn't that great?
Oh, which I guess is on me. But what's the story? What's the story behind this?
He's in the PCL, and you know, it's funny because I've seen photos of this card, but I've never actually seen this card in person. And the consignor sort of nonchalantly was like, and then I have this, and I was like, you know, like, so it's, you know, I'm still like I still get really excited about this stuff, you know, and so you know, to have this in the auction is pretty tremendous, and you know, again, it's one that you see the 1916 Mendelssohn cards sometimes, you know, but you don't see the Zeenut, you know, so so it's pretty great.
And I mean, 1.5. I
guess,
you know,
it's right. It's
fair.
You know, I will tell you that the wear on this Thorpe at 1.5 and the wear on the Boston Store Ruth at 1, you know, there's a little discrepancy, I think, in my mind. You know, the wear on the Thorpe is much more pronounced than the wear on
I agree.
Ruth. So, but it doesn't matter. The Thorpe is still, you know, find another one. I say that a lot with stuff that we have in the auction, you know, find another one.
So I wanted to talk about this one, not because Clyde Milan is any great shakes, but I knew the Washington Times cards existed because I know, I'm sure you know, Dan McKee has the entire set. I think he's the only one who has any of them. But I'd never seen one before other than in pictures. So
pretty great. Check out his sunglasses.
What?
Check out his sunglasses. He's got like, he's Joe Cool.
So
what we think is great about this one is that if you scroll through the images, this image was actually printed in the Washington Times, and so we actually show that image that's clipped from the paper, which leads me to believe that they probably all were printed in the paper. There it is.
Yep. There you go.
That's pretty cool, right?
Yeah. No, that's great.
Yeah.
I am going to sneeze.
Bless you. That's bad luck. I shouldn't have done that.
They'll probably edit that in now. Instead of the cramps, it'll be the sneeze.
Yes.
Dan,
Yes.
are you well hydrated this evening?
I am well hydrated,
Have you had
feeling
your
well.
bananas?
Nothing wrong. Feeling pretty good. So yeah, now we get to number 21, which we just talked about briefly as being on the cover of the catalog, of 50% of the catalogs. There you go. So Andrew, what can you tell us about this that's going to amaze us and have us all want to?
Well, I think the fact that Satchel is wearing a Monarchs uniform is extremely important. Type 1 photos of Satchel Paige wearing Negro League uniforms in general are extremely rare, but to find him in a Monarchs uniform is pretty out of this world. And it's a great shot. I mean, we loved it so much we put it on the cover. I think I said that in my description of the photo. But
yeah. So this is this is William Kunzel is the photographer.
Correct.
All right.
I think it's pronounced Kunzel.
Kunzel, okay. Because he's really good at photography. And if he were alive, I would say that he was really one of the best around. But I mean, that's one of those the composition is amazing. Just the timing of it, just the background, the whole thing is just ridiculous how good it is. And it's gonna go well for you guys on this one. I mean, it's only at 4,300 for 2,500. I'm thinking this one should be like 15 grand, but maybe I'm just a little bit not objective about that. So
we will see.
We will see.
You can bid as high as you want, Dan. You can go even higher if you want.
That's true.
I have to remain married. Sorry. Yeah. Look at me scrolling here.
Mm-hmm.
There are a lot of Kalamazoo Bats in this one.
Mm-hmm.
There are also, as usual, a lot of Old Judge.
I think we have close to 200 Old Judges.
Scrolling by a Ramley Eddie Plank.
Speaking of Dan McKee.
Yes.
The card to the left of the plank, the Alpha Engraving.
Okay.
Steve Brody. The Alpha Engraving cards, it's one of my favorite stories in the whole hobby, and it involves Dan McKee. This set, every card in this set is the only known copy. And they were discovered, if I'm not mistaken, by Dan McKee. And they got sold in an auction, and then they were split up. The set was went in every different direction in the hobby. And over the period of years, one by one, Dan reassembled the set. Think about how hard that is when every card in the set is the only one. So he had to track down each individual card, which he did, and then he sold it again. And so but every one of these cards is of the 1894 Baltimore Orioles, which is one of the all-time great teams, that was loaded with the unbelievable Hall of Famers, Willie Keeler, Joe Kelly, and John McGraw. And it's just a great team, and one of these teams that has this incredible history for their innovations. Like the Baltimore Chop, which came from these Baltimore Orioles, and growing the infield grass longer so that bunts would get lost in the grass, so that they decelerated quickly, and then of course John McGraw grabbing players by the belt buckle as they rounded third base to try and hold them from scoring. I mean, it's just one of the great teams, and each of these photos or each of these cards is a member of that team. And so Steve Brody may not be a player that you've heard of, but it is the only card of him from this set. So there is not another Alpha Engraving Steve Brody anywhere. So I think that's an unbelievably rare card and a really cool hobby story, because Dan McKee is such a just a monster collector, and I love hearing that story.
Yeah, you got all four of the T206 Cobbs. I know who the consigner is, so I won't talk about them. Personal friend. There's the Boston Store Cobb and the Hornsby. I wanted to go down to 51 was the one. Oh, yeah. Just a personal.
Yeah.
I think the pop. Oh, 51. Yeah. This is high grade for this set. How did you find one without any caramel on it? That's the thing.
I don't know. It's a heck of a card, and I think what I like best about this example is the depth of the red. These are, you see them so washed out, that it's not my favorite set because of that. The quality of the printing, and this one is particularly nice. So it was nice to handle this one.
And then it was 63 was the next one. Yeah, going through some crazy ones here, but yeah. 63, yeah, it's the 55 Hunter Sweeter. 54 I've seen before. I've never seen the 55 before.
Is that a cool one?
Yeah.
I like that a lot.
Total pop on this. I think either you wrote it or I did it. No, I think you actually did the pop. Yeah. There's a total of 10 of these known to the world.
Yeah.
Graded.
We just submitted this one. We had this one graded. It's a pretty great card. Came from a very prolific collector of hot dog cards. And such that there is one, and somebody who's been at it for a really long time, building, a great collection, a world-class collection of this kind of regional, meat issue, and this is a great one.
Let's see. I was going to talk about 71. Oh yeah, 71. I was going to talk about, but I won't because I'm bidding on this. But when you told me what it's going to go for, I said maybe I'm not going to be bidding on this.
It's a cool piece, even though it's beat up. This is the second one of these that we've handled. It's got Hos Radbourn in there, which is always a treat. One of the few photos of him where he's not flipping off the camera.
I was just going to say that. Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, and this is 1884, so you've got, this is the prime. Yeah, I think they won they didn't call it the World Series, but I think they were the winners of the league this year.
Yeah.
1884. So I blew my cover. I'm going to be on that one, but we'll see. I won't win.
Everybody bid on that.
93. Oh yeah, the Jackson correspondence collection.
Mm-hmm.
What the heck?
So these are letters that were written. Every one of these is an autograph request that was sent to Joe Jackson. We've sold off. What do you think, Andrew? About 30 or 40 different pieces of correspondence.
Yep.
That came into a consignor's collection through Jackson's estate, and they were all letters from fans, and we kind of broke them up. Some of them were just fan letters, but a lot of autograph requests. From the 30s and 40s, people have been at this hobby for a long time.
Yeah, really.
So,
I just got a TTM in today. 93. What's next? 176. I think that's probably page 2.
Hey Dan, do you get into basketball at all, or are you strictly baseball?
I have a little bit of basketball. It's got to be Knicks though, pretty much.
I see.
Oh, here it is. 176. I might be a bidder on this one too, but I'll give it up. 1971 Game 6, which you can watch on YouTube, by the way, the whole game. This is Clemente the throw in the home run.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. Did you any story behind this one?
Just came in as part of a collection. I don't even recall who the consignor on this one is, but it's pretty neat. And it's not one that we submitted. That one came to us in the Beckett holder.
Right.
Do you remember, Andrew, who that was?
No. Mm-mm.
I love tickets to milestone games. The ticket hobby is really exploding, and it's cool to see. They're so rare, Oh, there you go.
That's Larry Doby home run, first home run. It's
Cool.
Game 4, I think.
Wow.
Game 4. Why do I not see which? Yeah, it's Game 4, 1948. Anyway, enough of my collection. Let's go back to this. Photos begin at 184 was the first one I wanted to look at. Yeah. This one was striking to me just because it's just a perfect Mathewson photo.
Mm-hmm. And, if you'll notice, you see he's wearing dark pants and dark socks with the white stripes.
Yeah.
So that was exclusive to the 1911 World Series.
Oh, okay.
They wore a special uniform. They also wore a black uniform in 1905 when they won the World Series. So McGraw figured, hey, we'll do that again, but it didn't work in 1911. And they did also wear it in spring training the following season, but that image is at the Polo Grounds, so we can be pretty sure that's the 1911 World Series.
Is that the Polo Grounds behind him?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, it looks a little different in 1911 than it did later on.
Yep.
Excuse me. So any story behind this one?
No, not necessarily.
Okay.
It's a Bain photo, I can tell you that.
Right.
And all Bain photos are contact prints, which means they were created with the negative in direct contact with the photo paper, meaning that that's the highest possible quality image.
Well, it's getting some heavy bidding so far, so as you might imagine.
Sure. And
Let's
there's I know they're not high end, but if you go back a little bit, there's several card images here. We have 2 T206 images. We have a triple folder center panel image. I can't see the lot number on my screen, but that Josh DeVore photo was used for his Police Gazette supplement.
That looks like a middle. Yeah, Josh DeVore right here.
Mm-hmm.
On the Giants, I assume.
Yep, that's the Polo Grounds in 1909.
Right. He's I collect DeVore because he was on the Boston Braves in 14.
Right.
And this Lobert, this is whoops. This is what's his name? What's the guy's name who did all these photos?
Carl Horner.
Oh my God. Horner, right. Yeah, this is a Horner.
Yep.
Right? It's gotta be. Oh yeah,
It is.
Horner.
Yeah.
And Hans Lobert is in what's it that book? What's it called? I can't remember anything. Yeah. All right, so we did down to 192 was the other one I wanted to look at. Oh yeah, the Shoeless Joe. Did this come from his estate? Can you tell me that, or is that confidential?
If it did, I'm not aware of it.
Oh, okay.
And that didn't come up in any of my research, but I can tell you that photo was published right before the 1919 World Series, and I found it used several times, which I included in that listing. So if you look at the C and D and maybe the E images, if you scroll through them quick, you'll see it. There you go. So that's pretty significant because in some cases, a paper would, have an image of him on file that they might have just used before the World Series. But in this case, well, actually, this one could have been one of those, but it's actually date stamped right before the World Series. So that's really why it's significant.
Yep, right there.
Well, there should be. Let me look at it on my screen. Let me see.
Okay.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
all right. So yeah, it's got the handwritten notation there, but we know that it was published in the paper because obviously we found it.
Right. Found the paper. Okay. What we got next? 392. 201. Oh yeah, 201 is the. Sorry to scroll.
No.
I mean, it's funny because I thought when I saw the 3, I thought that was going to be Ruth, but no, it's not Ruth. Isn't that Greenberg?
Actually, not sure who that is. Could be.
Looks like Greenberg.
I don't know.
No?
No, I don't know.
Yeah, maybe not. But anyway, that's Gehrig round. What year is that?
That is 36.
36 All-Star game. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Beautiful photo. And let's see. I'm not supposed to talk about 212. Anything before I scroll through everything here? I mean, anything that you want to talk about in particular, Andrew?
So, yeah, 205 is really interesting because this is a card image. It is a Conlon photo, and it was developed by Conlon. It's got his handwriting on the back and everything, but this is a Type 2 that was developed in the 1930s.
Okay.
Right, but it's a 1910s image, early 1910s image, because it's at Hilltop Park, and you know the Highlanders moved out of Hilltop Park in 1912.
Right.
So I can see this. It's already at 17 bids. I expect this, this to continue to climb. But there's no Type 1 out there that I'm aware of. So I think this, despite the fact that this is a Type 2, this should be very exciting to collectors of dead ball era photography.
Also, people who own this card, it's
Yes.
There were 2 issues. Honest long cut or something,
Mm-hmm.
and then another one, I think. This card. There's 2 different backs on this card, I believe.
Yep.
It's in that set. Yeah, Al, you would know it. There's only 4 cards in the set. It's like Baker,
it's
Cobb.
Mark Ward, Cobb, and Home Run Baker, and I can't remember the other back. It might be Mecca.
Yeah, but they
I'm
I'll tell you,
we're gonna get the answer to this real quick.
Card
In the
collectors.
standard catalog. There needs to be a standard catalog for things just like this.
Card collectors who have that card are going to want this photo because that's a thing.
Yeah.
Is putting the 2 of them together. But that, I mean, it's a gorgeous photo. Also, I mean, the concept.
Miners extra. Miners
extra. That's right.
There you go.
The fact that Conlon himself wrote on the back, is pretty awesome.
Yeah,
Whether it's Type
great.
2 or not, I think is somewhat irrelevant given that kind of background.
Yeah, collectors should not feel tied to Type 1s. The other types are great in their own way, and especially something like this. It just has too much going for it to be put off by the fact that it's a Type 2.
All right, so I'm going to go down to 243 while I scroll past about 50 amazing photos. I mean, like this. Yeah. This is really kind of insane.
Yeah.
Ray Dandridge.
So Dan, 243 is we put quite a bit of research into this one.
Okay. Right. Okay. Yeah, it's the Philadelphia A's.
Yeah, this was definitely a tag team research job here. There were 3 of us working on this card at one point.
I wish they could have put a little more work into the grass, though, in this one.
You imagine playing baseball on that?
I did. back in the 70s on Long Island and in the 80s.
Uh-huh.
I never played on this in college, though. It was mostly high school.
Tell us
yeah,
the story, Andrew.
Tell us the story.
Yeah, so, I mean, right off the bat, you can see all these Philadelphia Athletics players and one Boston player all the way on the left there. So the question became, why is he with them? And where are they? Because it's clearly not a major league stadium. And that kind of sent us down the rabbit hole of what is going on here. And we were determined to figure out the answer to that. And it really started with the Boston player whose name escapes me at the moment. Al, do you remember his name?
I don't, but I'll find out real quick.
Was it Bob Peterson?
Let's see. 1907 postcard.
I could definitely tell who Waddell is.
Bob Peterson. Good answer. Bob Peterson.
There you go. So, I mean, the athletics players we could readily identify. Monty Cross gave us a little trouble because he didn't have a mustache in this photo. But yeah, we figured out who they were, and then Al really dug into the newspaper research and really fleshed it out. And that's what you see in the description.
Yeah. So Bob Peterson was released by Boston. He lived in Philly, and so this photo is the Philadelphia Athletics barnstorming at the end of the 1907 season, and Peterson is still wearing his Boston uniform, but he's barnstorming with the Athletics, which is why there's a weird player in a Red Sox uniform in this photo.
Well, you can make out Waddell pretty easily in Bender, and then you got Plank here in the end.
Yeah.
Is that Hans Lobert right there below him? Right there? Yeah. I'll have to look into it a little bit more on.
That's Simon Nickel.
Yeah.
Okay. 7 bids already. I think that one's going to be popular.
Mm-hmm. It's a great card.
So, oh Jesus, I'm scrolling again. We got 5 pages, and I'm only on page 2.
I don't know.
More than 5. There's 8. A lot of old
I got
pages.
5 on mine.
Yeah. When you get to 5, and then you hit the arrow, it brings you to 6, 7, and 8.
Oh Jesus, I didn't even see 6, 7, and 8.
Dan, there are 2 pieces that I'd like to bring out here.
Sure, go ahead. Give me numbers.
1917.
1917. Okay, that's going to be tough.
There's an associated piece.
What is the 1917?
So that is.
Give me a word.
Letterhead from the Federal League.
Oh yeah. More than letterhead.
Right. Okay. So.
Okay.
I'm trying to find out. There's a piece that goes with this. I think it's the next lot. Hold on.
Joe Tinker was the manager of the Chicago Whales, and he won the 15 title, I think. Yeah, because Indianapolis won in 14. Wow.
So, there's that. And then 1924 is another Federal League letter signed by Joe Tinker.
Tinker is not a particularly easy signature.
Oh, okay.
Well, also, Federal League letterhead is extremely difficult to find. And these 2 are fresh to the hobby. This is a brand new discovery. We were consigned a scrapbook that belonged to a player named Ned Pettigrew, who played 2 games in the Federal League. And
if you got sent to Buffalo.
So if you read these 2 letters, the first letter is Joe Tinker telling him where and when to report to spring training. And the second letter is letting him know that he's been released and has to go to Buffalo. So it's really interesting.
That is amazing. Chicago Feds. Oh, Jesus.
Pretty great stuff.
Wow. I can see why you would want to look at these. Want us to look at these. Yeah, there it is. Oh, no, that's the... Let me go back to the other one. Here it is. There's this. Jeez. Yeah, these are pretty ridiculous.
And if you want to see something that I find particularly interesting about 1917, at the top on the upper left, all of the Federal League teams are listed. And one of the teams that they show is Toronto, who never actually made it into the Federal League. They were a proposed team, and then Brooklyn ended up taking their place.
Yeah, I was just about to say Brooklyn's not listed here.
Right.
Brooklyn played both years.
And it just goes to show you how early this was. This is February of 14.
Yeah, February 23rd. Well, good for Tinker. He got his job managing the Cubs after he won the league with the Whales. Any other items you want to go through?
I mean, we just go lot by lot, you know. You know, there's a couple of the things that I do want to mention about this auction on the card side, that's easy to gloss over, but we have a complete 1968 top set that we're selling as a complete set.
Right.
Back in the day when SGC had a registry, this set was the number one set on the PSA registry, or the SGC registry. Sorry, no card is graded lower than 8, and a lot of
this is number 4, right?
Number 4, yeah.
Right. Yeah.
It really is a beautiful set, and you know those 1968s are tough. There's centering issues, and that burlap border is just a nightmare. You know the way it's so susceptible to dings and things like that. And then along those same lines, we have the number 6 1962 top set.
62, yeah,
on the registry, which is another really condition sensitive set. And these cards, there's more than 209. So we broke this set up for the most part. We're selling the cards individually, and they're like 3-dimensional. The guy who collected this has been working on this set for like 40 years, and you know, just had this like this unbelievable eye and this incredible just upgrade cycle where he would buy, he had a 9 and then he found a nicer 9, and so he'd replace a 9 with a better 9, and you know, there are cards throughout this set where it's, you know, it's one of 3 or 4 at that grade with none higher. I mean, the low pop stuff is unbelievable, and every card is just so beautiful. So if you're into high grade, you know, post-war vintage, that, you know, they don't get tougher than 62 tops, maybe 71. You know, it's just like one of the toughest sets to get in high grade. And the other thing about those cards is that, like, when you look at them, they're kind of dull. You know, the photography is sort of colorless, and but these cards, these examples are just beautiful. The color is rich, and you know, the borders are this almond color. I mean, these cards are just so special. It's definitely, you know, even if you're not into collecting that stuff, scroll through and take a look at them all, because there's 500 lots of them or something like that, and one is more beautiful than the last one. You know, each one is just fantastic. And you know, check out the cards of Boog Powell, Bill White. You know, it's not just the Hall of Famers. There's Don Landrum, which is like impossible to get in high grade. There's a Don Landrum card that's a beauty. It's an 8, I think. They're just great cards. So if you have a little bit of time, and you want to look at some nice cards over dinner or whatever, if you want to just scroll through those, you know, it's great eye candy.
So there are some sets in here, like the Kalamazoo Bats that you have. I've only seen them like one per auction in other auctions. And you've got, I don't know how many you've got, but it's got to be more than a dozen at this. Yeah,
I think there's 18 or 19. There's 16 of them are it's pretty phenomenal what was done with these. These cards are they were originally found, just the photos skinned off the mount, and a collector had them restored, remounted on modern mount that was made to look just like the original Kalamazoo Bat mounts. So there's like 16 or 14 of those in the auction. They're beautiful. CGC graded them all. They're authentic, but the mounts are there's a ton of restoration, and so it's a great way if you're interested in acquiring a 19th century card from a really rare issue. This is a great way to do it in a much more affordable way. And if you're one of the wackos out there who's trying to build a Kalamazoo Bats set and you can't find, a handful of the cards, here's great placeholders for some of the stuff that you might never see. So in both cases, there's some appeal there.
And then there's the Bishop and Company, the E99s and the E100s.
Yeah. I think we have 5 different E100s in this set. Yeah, they're great, and these are Pacific Coast League cards that date back to 1909, 1910, and are these really cool. They're all different color backs, right? So there's like these really rich purple ones and green ones, and there's a bunch of those in the auction. I think we have, like I said, 5 E100s. Those are the really, really, they're just tough to get.
Yeah.
So there's that.
And then there's the T209 Contentnea, which I'm again like.
Yes. Contentnea, I think it is.
Contentnea.
Those are, I believe, they're all Southern minor league cards. They're photographic cards. They're black and white. They're really beautiful, and they are impossible. They're not impossible to find. They're impossible to find in nice condition. They're beautiful cards. The photography is crisp and clear, and it's a way for you to get a look at some of these players that's their only card. And I'm sure that in some cases the photo is their only photo of that person. These are people who never made it to the big leagues. These are people who never did anything other than play Class A ball in 1910 in Charleston, or whatever. And it's a really cool window into early days of baseball and how it proliferated around the country. And we have 50 of them, all graded by SGC, all sold individually. You don't see 50. We've had a couple. We've had a bunch in our last couple auctions, but we really, just put 50 out there this time. Those are great.
And then there's this Frederick Foto.
Yes, 1921 Frederick Foto cards. That is a set that is best known for the Babe Ruth. As is any set. But what's cool about those is they're actual photos, and there's 2 different sizes. There's they're not really uniform in size, but there's like small format ones and there's larger ones, and we've got a couple of each in this auction. You don't see them very often. Most of them are players that you might not recognize, but at some stage in the hobby, a lot of the advanced pre-war collectors are chasing after the type, and trying to get whatever they can. And every one of these players has a story, whether they're in the Hall of Fame or not. So it's it's great stuff for collectors.
No.
So I did pull up this one, which is the Armando Marsans from the Billiken set. Marsans, of course, have the story, obviously.
Yep. The Billiken cards are Cuban. I think we have 4 in this auction. I think we have 4 of them. We've got more coming, but these 4 are some special ones that we put in this auction.
I wanted to mention
this is pretty amazing.
That we have several signed tobacco cards.
Yeah.
Okay.
T206. There's the max. Yeah.
Yeah. Newly discovered. Go on. Sorry, I interrupted you.
It's okay. The Max Carey T207, I think, is a highlight. And a bunch of T206s. Larry Doyle, Snodgrass. There's a Snodgrass T205 signed.
Yeah. There's Doyle.
Yep.
All brand new discoveries.
Wow.
Yeah, those have been.
I know a Doyle super collector who I probably will send this to as soon as we're done recording. Oh, and Snodgrass also.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, these have all been in the collection of one collector for the past 50 plus years.
Wow. Sign the back. That's okay.
Yeah, these were all in an album held in with photo corners.
Okay. But the condition is still good. The color on that.
Yeah.
Yep.
Fantastic. Let's see.
All brand new submissions. We submitted them all.
Yep.
Oh, you submitted those? Okay.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Well, guys, I could go on all night.
It's a special auction, Dan. It really is. I mean, it's cover to cover. Just stuff that interesting, unique sort of things that you don't see every day, and that's kind of what we do. But this one is particularly strong in that way, I think.
Well, now that I know that there's a page 6, 7, and 8. It's like when you got all your presents at Christmas, but then there were like a few behind the tree.
Yeah,
6, 7, and 8 are the ones behind the tree. So
yeah, we've got great. We've got
I got a page of notes.
We have 7 of the 8 issued 1951 Topps current All-Star cards, including the Yogi is at 5. Which is great. It was right to the present. We've got, we've even got some post 1975 stuff in this one.
Yeah, the 51 All-Star cards. I'm not allowed to talk about another one of those. Not Yogi. You can talk about Yogi,
okay.
but you can't talk about another one.
Okay. We also have a full, almost full 1935 National Chickle football set, card by card. Not just in the Nagurski. We've got all the other ones. And we've got some great basketball in this auction too. So it's not just baseball.
That's why I'm going to I'll get to those pages with the basketball, Andrew. That's why you asked me about basketball.
It's always fun. It's always fun to do this show with you, though, Dan. I appreciate it.
Well, it's an open date. It's an open invitation because I'm going to be into it. I'm going to do my research. I'm going to at least. I won't do next time. I'll do page 6, 7, and 8 if we get to that. But I really appreciate the both of you taking this time. And I know one time you did it was the night before it opened, so it was like you guys were. But this one, at least you've had a day or two to catch up with some sleep. But then we find out that Andrew's got to travel again. So Yeah,
he's going to Strongsville. Andrew will be set up at Strongsville, which is pretty cool. And trying to think what other things we have going on to talk about. We're beginning to collect consignments for our summer auction, which will be right after the National. We will be at the National.
Right.
So if you're a For Collectors viewer, come on by. Can I plug my podcast?
Absolutely.
We have a podcast, the Love of the Game podcast that we just launched a week ago, where we're going to do one a month. Each episode is a story and an interview. So our first interview is with Greg Kreinler, the painter and good buddy of ours, who was kind enough to sit in with us for 40 minutes or so and talk about his work. And we'll come out with another one in a couple of weeks. It's already done, you can search for us on Apple Podcasts and Spotify, but also here on YouTube. Just search for Love of the Game Auctions.
Yeah, I'll put a link. I'll put a link to that. I'll put a link to obviously
cool.
the auction and
Awesome.
to your podcast. I know you guys are going to be at Strongsville. Andrew, you're going to have those pens and pads again? Are we going to get those?
think we
You're
gave her
right,
all away.
man. They love that stuff.
I told you. I told
I
Al.
got nothing. I'll try. I'll see what.
I have a, I carry a briefcase because I'm a lawyer, and there's a spot for pens, and all the pens that I have are in there. I pull every once in a while, pull out the Love of the Game one and use that for a
pen.
day.
Oh man, now we got to get pens. When we first started, let's see, do I have one here? I don't think I do. When we first launched Love of the Game at the National in Baltimore in 2012, I made, I didn't make them, I had them made, jeweler's loops, 40-time magnification jeweler's loops with the Love of the Game logo on them, and I handed them out to anybody at the National who came to the booth. And I almost went bankrupt right before my like first thing I did was go bankrupt. But yeah, that, I get it. People love that kind of stuff, but I was like, I don't want to just give them pens. Everybody does pens. And now I just want to.
The loop is useful. I mean, the loop is
that's
really
kind of
useful.
what I thought. Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought that would be good. We did one year. We did these little cards that were like these plastic cards that had a ruler on one side and a magnifying. It was like a plastic lens inside, so you could kind of magnify. You could kind of look at stuff, but it would you would go in your wallet because it was flat. It was like a credit card. We did that one year.
Hand sanitizer
The year of the pandemic at the National. We handed out bottles of Love of the Game hand sanitizer.
Was that the one at Atlantic City?
Yeah. Where we both
I got one of those.
We both got COVID.
We both got COVID.
I was hanging out at your booth then, and I got one of those hand sanitizers.
Yeah, the hand sanitizer did not work. It did. We both got sick.
So did I. All right. We can chat. I gotta close this up because I don't know if anybody wants to hear my sordid history of COVID. But anyway, again, gentlemen, it's always a pleasure. Thank you for everything you do, not just these things, but all the shows and I know we got to go to dinner at Shriners, Andrew. That was a lot of fun.
Yep.
And we'll see you again at Strongsville, and Al will obviously see you at the National. But
yes,
I appreciate the fact that you exist in the hobby because you do it right. You do it like with integrity, and you have incredible knowledge and incredible ability to produce these like just amazing auctions. And I'm just, every time they open up, like I said, when I get this in the mail, it's like Christmas. So
that's awesome. I appreciate that. And we appreciate you and For Collectors and the whole community as well. It's great that you have been so welcoming as we move into this new media and start to become more accustomed to it.
Yep.
So thank you.
All right, guys, I'm gonna run the outro, and this will post on Thursday. So, folks, when you get this on Thursday, the link to the auction will be down below. Amazing stuff. We didn't even get to go through. We went through some of it, but there was a lot more in there that we didn't get to go through. So, folks, check it out. Love of the Game auction, spring auction 2026. It is awesome.
Love the hobby. Keep collecting baseball cards. My camera, I said.
But hey, we want to keep the lights on here at For Collectors Studios, so hit the like button for us, guys.
As Scott would say from Reindeer Studios, For Collectors is the place to be, folks.
So thanks everybody for coming, and we'll see you next time on For Collectors.
All right, guys. Clemente Collector has said we hit a grand slam, so that makes me feel good.